And we're live. So we want to greet everybody. Good morning. It is the second day after Nigeria at 61 anniversary, and I am live with um, a lawyer, a human rights activist, and you can also call he is the author of the popular "Do Not Die in Their War." You know that book is Dele Farotimi. Let's not long thing, and all of you, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this session. So today we just simply want to audit Nigeria so far, 61 years after, and then we are going to be doing this live with Barrister Dele Farotimi. You're welcome on the show, sir. How are you today?
Well, the one thing I am not is independent as a Nigerian. And the second thing I am not is happy as a Nigerian. So that's your happy independence thing that you started with, even though we are not live at that time. I must respond. Please, don't put your hand in my mouth. I'll bite. There is nothing happy about being a Nigerian, and there is nothing independent about Nigeria. So please, it's just another day. There is nothing to celebrate about the birth of this country, especially along its inequitable foundations. So good morning to you as well.
All right, so you're welcome. And then talking about Nigeria, nothing to be happy about, and the rest of it. But I would like to say that sometimes a lot of people still feel, well, at all, Nigeria is not yet Somalia, Nigeria is not yet Afghanistan, that at least we should still have things to thank God for. Um, if you will appraise Nigeria, we can't entirely say everything is totally bad, like some people will theorize. And so I would want to ask if you would give credit to something at least, what would it be to say, okay, at least for this and this, we still have a cause to say, okay, doxology.
You see, I had to restrain myself so that I didn't break into your stream of consciousness as you were asking the question. You know, my grandmother, may God bless her, she used to say when I was growing up, she said, I lojuti ni bere gbogbo buruku tó wà nílé ayé. That means an incapacity for shame. Shamelessness is the root and foundation of all evils in this world. The Nigerian has no shame. Me, you, all of us, we are actually completely shameless. If we were not shameless, we wouldn't need anyone to let us know that we should be in mourning. We are a collection of shameless people. It's not just the rulers, the followers, all of us. We're shameless. First, the white man came to these shores. The Arabs came to the sandy dunes. And then they held us all captives by their ideologies. And then they left us, and we're celebrating that the British left 61 years ago. What have we done with it? I've heard people say that perhaps the British should come back and recolonize us, and I wince. I look at the idiots who call themselves our rulers. They are not even consumed by any vision to want to build. Look at Il Jong-kim, or whatever they call that short one in North Korea. As crazy as you might think his generations to be, they built infrastructures for their people. Yes, they've curtailed the freedom of their people, but aren't our own freedoms already curtailed? Haven't we been constrained for 61 years? Or at least since 66? Why is it that none of them have been touched by the genius of insanity to want to build the country with the best infrastructure in Africa? What is the difference between Nigeria and Dubai? Vision. One man's vision transformed a country and then transformed an entire region to the point where the Gulf Arab states are today the nucleus of the Arab Spring. It's true rebirth and regeneration. What have we contributed to humanity? 61 years of what? What are we celebrating? And right now, we are being led by idiots. Did I say lead? We're not being led. We're being misled by idiots who are in a race to go back to antiquity. What exactly are we celebrating? I'm a father of 3 children. My greatest pain would be to die leaving my children in this country based on its current trajectories. Muhammadu Buhari is racing back to prehistoric time. He wants to take us to Kabul. The idiots in the ruling class, or shall I say the ruling class, they are busy following him like lemmings. The people who are being ruined themselves, what are we doing? We're busy speaking inanities. What are you comparing us with before you decide whether we have failed or whether we have succeeded? We're the best in terms of human resources. You see, let a single Nigerian be in an airport terminal with over 200 other people. Let there be about 20 other black people there. You will know the one that is Nigerian amongst the blacks because he's the one that is standing tallest. What do you think it is about Yele Sowore that pisses off our rulers? I'll tell you today. He doesn't know how to look like a slave. He doesn't know how to bow like a slave. That is what it is about him that pisses them off. And that is what it is about the essence of the Nigerian that separates us from every other black person. We don't know how to be slaves. We keep our head high. That is what differentiates us even when we are immigrants outside Nigeria. We distinguish ourselves because it's innate in us, it's inside of us, but what have we done with it? We've led in what? In consumption, consuming. We drink the most wine. What have we led with it? What have we done? We've been an abject, complete, and total failure up till this point. And we have even consumed the future if we are not careful. So please. I
understand, sir, but in summary, there is actually nothing we can appraise other than just a lot of things to correct.
You're just going to be looking at degrees of failure. What have we done right? Is it education? What have we done right? Is it governance? Is it security? What? Everything that the government touches, it destroys. The only part of Nigeria that functions properly are those 4 parts that have managed to drag themselves outside the reach of governance. That is why you find that youth entrepreneurs who are mostly based on online, on the internet, they are unrestrained by the interference of Nigerian government, which appears intent on ensuring that people are poor, not just materially, but intellectually. So when you now have people who have broken the boundaries because they are able to live in the global village because they are online, you find them doing much better. You find that the same ingenuity is sometimes misapplied, and then you find the likes of Invictus and our brother Hush. But for every Hush, there is a Kiari. So let's be clear about something. The way this country is going, if we don't find our voices and clearly identify what it is that is in our own best interest, there is going to be an implosion eventually. You cannot rule a vibrant young population with antediluvian ideas. You cannot be looking for cattle routes in a generation where some people are already thinking of excursion to Mars. You can't, who's talking cattle route? It gives you an idea of the schizophrenia that is worrying Nigeria. This identity crisis where an 80-something-year-old man is ruling the country with visions dating. I'm not even sure that man knows how to use the internet beyond watching Tom and Jerry. And he's not alone. The bulk of the people sat in that executive council. What do they understand? Not forget the federal government. Go down to the states themselves. What is the quality of brain ruling in those places? Who are they ruling for? What are the ideas? What are the overarching visions behind which they are mobilizing the people? What are the ideas? Ideas rule nations. Ideas. What are the ideas behind which they are galvanizing the people? There is one idiot. I think that one in Akwa Ibom or wherever, the one that said Mesopotamia nonsense, the idiots that
Cross
had
River,
Agbajalingo.
Calabar.
Yeah, that one that had Agbajalingo in chains the other time.
Ben Ayade.
That idiot actually said he wasn't taxing people, these people. Why would he tax them when he hasn't given them what he should give them? He's not constrained by any vision. How can a governor say he's not taxing? But when they know that the persons they have taxed, they have offered no services. So it becomes the legitimacy of the state, his capacity to demand the tax, is found on his ability to deliver services. When the tax becomes a toll, when it becomes punitive in the sense that you are not servicing the person's interest, the average Nigerian, and I mean at least 90% of those who live in the rural, in the urban areas, particularly in the south, they're paying school fees. The public school system, where it is not completely collapsed, is inadequate. So they're paying school fees that our parents' generation did not pay. Healthcare, same. Transport, same. Everything down. And then you ask yourself, exactly what are we passing on to the next generation? So please, insofar as it relates to any measurement, any Nigerian with half a brain should just go and anoint their heads with hash and then sit down in the privacy of their rooms. If you don't have a room, grab your communal toilet, sit down there so that you have some privacy, and then ask yourself, think beyond your immediate hunger. Just think beyond your immediate hunger and then ask yourself, where would this country be in 5 years' time at our current trajectory? See those rails that they are busy screeching and congratulating themselves that they are building. They have picked loans that my children and your children will pay. They are building crap, antiquated technology that is no longer in use in any sane place. And my children would have to pay for lines that goes nowhere that anybody goes. Maradi in Niger. And I'm supposed to be clapping for the idiot. Not just him, all the other ones that surround him. Because it's not just about Buhari, it's a system. It's not only the federal government. There are 36 emirs. So when you look at all of these, in fact, you've caught me at a bad time. I was already in a funk before this started. But the question you've asked, how do I grade Nigeria? We should be in mourning. That's my answer. Perhaps it's even symbolic. I'm still wearing my black jalawear, so it's good. We should be in mourning. Mourning. I see somebody commenting, their children are graduating from UK and from US. Sorry that I'm digressing.
It's okay.
You see, the tragedy of these idiots who rule us is that they don't learn anything. They are fools. That Floyd, that one that they killed in Minnesota, yeah. Generations after his ancestors were taken as tourists, quote and unquote, to America. His placenta buried in America. His father's placenta buried in America. His mother's too. The Americans don't see him as human. He couldn't breathe. Yeah. We saw it all on video. Don't worry about the ones whose videos you never see. So these idiots, they are stealing our money, keeping their children abroad, and they think that because they've bought passports all over the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, they're busy buying passports, buying nationality and citizenship. They think that will render their children immune from what happened to Floyd. It won't happen. They will pay. They will pay. That is just a fact. So yeah, they can go ahead and be buying passports, sending their children to schools abroad, buying homes on the Potomac or wherever they care. 20 years down from now, let history
They won't
report
be
that
able
they
to breathe.
did that. Oh no, they won't breathe. The ones that won't breathe, the ones that will be chased down an alleyway, is just another black man. This is the only place where we are human. So if they destroy the only place where we are human, we'll see what history will say about all of us. So
Okay, so some have said that the retirement age is 60, Nigeria is 61, and that because things are actually not even working. So why not let's retire Nigeria and probably just come up with something new? As a result, some have said, okay, like you have also diagnosed leadership failure. Like, how about we change the system completely? Kick out. That is one suggestion. Say, okay, we change the system that has failed and the leaders daring. Others say, no, it's completely even expired altogether. Why not let's just break the country and reverse it back to what it used to be before the colonialists came to merge us together? And all of these have sounded, plausible in their own ways. What would you suggest? I mean, going forward.
in the first place, nobody who has a vision, nobody with vision retires at 60. Just to clear that up for all of us. I retired from being a lawyer when I was 50. But I didn't retire to be sleeping in my house. I retired to be doing what I'm doing with you right now. If I was still a lawyer, servicing clients who are afraid of what government might do to their businesses, I won't be able to do this. So I retired from being a lawyer to being a full-time troublemaker. That's one. Nigeria might be 60, but it's 60 at what, really?
61 now.
No. 61 at what? You can't call it 61 years old, because what is Nigeria? The idea, what is Nigeria itself? Nigeria is a stillbirth. It hasn't done anything but constrain. Look at the earlier analogy I gave you. When the Black Americans became constrained within the American space, they started finding outlets in sport and entertainment. When the Nigerian became constrained by the Nigerian state, he started finding outlets in sport and entertainment and in all those other things that can be done outside of the control of the system. So entertainment, internet. So you find that the Nigerian system is designed to constrain. So when you're talking about Nigeria as 61, what is actually 61 years old? What is 61 years old is a mistake. There is a 61-year-old mistake. Oh, no, that would be unfair. Let me say there is a 61-year-old idea that has been on the wrong track for, I think, the last 56 or thereabout now, since 1966. Yeah, since 1966, that country, that idea that was formulated and crystallized on the 1st of October was lost. It became lost in January 1966. It became irretrievably damaged by July, because what was lost were 4 regions of a federation. 4 regions of a federation. What do we have today? 36 feeding centers in a feudalized democracy. So what we started out with is different from what we have today. So when you talk about it as being 61 years old, it is important that you all understand very quickly that what is 61 years old is an idea. What we have right now is not what we started out with. What we have right now is a lie. It calls itself the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but there is nothing federal about it. The VAT argument should bring that home to you. The reactions, and then you can hear the idiocy being spewed out of Arewa House. Nobody used to care, really, the way Nigeria was structured. It didn't matter to the regions who was in possession of the federal government. The key thing, the key powers were in the regions. But under the military restructuring of Nigeria between 1966 and 1999, which produced Decree 24, which you call the 1999 Constitution, Nigeria has been restructured without consultation with any of the ethnic nationalities or the people themselves. And today you have 36 states. Those states are not regions, and we are certainly not a federation. We are not even a unitary system, because under the British unitary system, you have devolution of power to the Scottish Assembly. The Scottish people continue to demand referendums to separate completely from the United Kingdom. You have devolution of power to the Welsh Assembly. You have situations where the mayor of Manchester could look Boris Johnson in the eye and tell him that he wasn't going to obey the local, the general curfew, because the situation in Manchester wasn't as bad as it was in London. That is the extent of devolution within the British unitary system. Can you imagine the governor of Lagos State defying another from inside the rock of Aso? And this is not about Buhari, it's about whoever is inside that rock. So what we have today is no longer a federation. We just have a feudalized democracy where the governors are not unlike emirs, the president is not unlike the sultan, and they are that far removed from the people who purportedly elected them. That is why you find that the House of Reps people, the senators, the governors, House of Assembly, they all live far away from the people. And I warrant that every member of each and every one of the different houses of assembly upward, including the chairmen of local government councils, all 774 of them, if not all of their councillors too, they all hold passports of other countries. They don't serve you and I. So why are we fooling ourselves? So when you talk about 61 years of a major error, if you ask me, and until we retrace our steps back, the only way Nigeria can function without disintegration would be to return to its federalist roots, outside of its true federal roots. And that true federalism thing, please, I'm sorry, I don't want to help perpetuate that lie. There is nothing called true federalism. It's either federalism or it's not federalism. That true federalism allows people to hide a lie. So there is nothing called true federalism. We're either going to return to our federalist roots, where each region is allowed to develop at its own pace, compete healthily with each other, perhaps with tweaks here and there to account for the reality of the fact that things have changed on several fronts. Other than that, we waste our times. Other than that, we waste our time. Eventually, that's where we'll get to. It might take 20 years, might take 30. Several wars might have been fought. But the one thing that is clear is that this system will not endure. It's not possible. It constrains. It constrains.
So to be direct, would you endorse the call for expiration of that, those who say end Nigeria now and let us all start new nations altogether, new ethnic nations? Or would you still say there is hope?
I am a man who a lot of people find very difficult to understand. So they try and put me in their own pigeonholes so that I might fit into the idea of who I should be and what I should be or what I should be saying. All these people calling for separation of Nigeria, you will find very quickly that when the two of us sit down, we have no disagreement whatsoever. Everybody calling for one thing or the other related to Nigeria is doing so because Nigeria is not working for them. The only people who are playing politics with let's break up Nigeria, Nigeria is not working, they are the beneficiaries. And those beneficiaries, people might like to let you think that it's only the Fulani that are the beneficiaries. They are lying. The ruling class across the length and breadth of Nigeria are beneficiaries of the current system. None of them wants it to end. They might not like the way they are sharing the loot currently, and they might complain and moan and then pretend like they agree. But the truth is that amongst themselves, they have no substantive quarrel. So here is what I'll say to you. We've all agreed that there are problems, and we've also all agreed that something has to give. That is the point where the divergences now begins. Some people are of the opinion that you should just break Nigeria up and have new ethnic nationalities come out of them. That is a viewpoint, and I respect it. But I have a different opinion, and my own opinions are simple. I believe that even if you broke Nigeria into 100 ethnic nationalities, if you do not anchor those nations on the rule of law and the equality of citizenship and the primacy of citizenship, you will never build the desired nations. So I figure that, look, if you follow our history, if you take time to read our history, you will know that these same arguments we're having today, they were had in the lead up to our independence. And I recall that, reading my own history, I recall that in 1951 Constitution was truncated essentially by the Federalist demands of the Awoist AG. What they then did was that I believe they boycotted the federal parliament to the point where the government had no choice but to come with the 1954 Constitution, where they now all agree that, look, let each region, this was the beginning of the federalist route of the Nigerian state at independence. They recognize that, look, maybe we in the South are demanding independence too soon. So instead of going at the same, dragging everybody to come at the same pace, because the first demand for secession in Nigeria was by Ahmadu Bello. He was ready to leave. I believe that was after the motion for independence was killed by the northern side and they were booed out of Lagos. He says, Areba, they wanted to leave. The middle ground position, because somebody like Azikiwe was a committed unitarist. He wanted a single Nigeria ruled from a strong center, which the Hausa Fulani did not want. Don't let me perpetuate that fraud. The Fulanis didn't want that, speaking for the Hausa and other northern people. The Yorubas didn't want that because they were afraid of Igbo domination in the new nation that was being built. So Awolowo presented the Federalist compromise and said, look, why don't you let each region develop at his own pace based on his own capacities, which was pretty much something that was already in place even under the colonial arrangement for administrative convenience. The South itself was only broken into West and East later on. So it was a situation where by the time they were building the modern Nigerian state in 1960, there was a federalist structure that cured the fears of one part dominating the other. But that federalist structure has been destroyed by the military restructuring of Nigeria, led by who? The Fulanis. So today, what they didn't want in the 50s is what they are telling us today is non-negotiable. So when you hear people now saying we must break it, yeah, they must say so, because it is the only response to the over-choking, overbearing hegemony that is forcing a single vision, a retrogressive one for that matter, on the entire country. So when people say let's break it, I can't argue against them. But I am of the opinion that if we took this same Nigeria the way it is, and if we go back to our federalist route, which means that each part of the country is allowed to grow at its own pace, then we'll be fine. But if that cannot be achieved, what argument can I have against those who are demanding separation from a chokehold? I can't argue against it. I don't like it. We must be clear about that, because I suspect very strongly that it will not be a tea party to achieve. But then, that you have to break a few eggs to make omelette, what difference does it make? We're already dying every day. Every day. Every blessed day, people are dying senselessly. So if the only way out of the chokehold is to leave, I can't argue with those who demand it. I would prefer we restructure along federalist lines.
Thank you very much. But one of the people, one of the catalysts for the systemic change everybody is calling for, the section of people who can drive this are said to be the young people, like the youths. What is your assessment of readiness of the young people to come into power, take over, and take their destinies in their Nigerian youths? How would you assess them?
You see, me, I read the Bible as a young guy, young boy in my teenage years. I was just a reader, so I read it as a storybook. And I remember a part that it says, young men, no, old men shall dream dreams. Young men shall see visions, right? Well, I don't know how he says it, but I know that there is a part for the youth and there is a part for the older ones. Yorubas will say, Ọmọdé gbọ́n, àgbà gbọ́n, la fi dálé Ifẹ̀. It is from the collectivity of wisdom that you find, of knowledge, that you find wisdom. Everybody comes together, you synthesize. Nigerian youth are more than ready. It is we, the older generation, that have failed them dismally. Before you can speak to the failure of anybody, you must first of all ask yourself, to what task or purpose have you set the person that you are judging? What alternative vision have we offered the Nigerian youth? I'm not talking reactions. I'm saying you want to call them to a purpose. What vision have we offered them? Have we painted them a picture of a better future based on an idea to which they can relate? What have we called them to? When we call them to a purpose and they fail to rise, then we have the capacity to speak to their readiness. But I'll show you something that, in fact, I also used to say that they were not ready. But something happened this time last year. They were busy watching BB Niger during the COVID pandemic. So I started a lecture series. I called it Youthquake. Youthquake was intended to simulate what was happening in Europe and Asia, where the youth population rose to demand change. So I started this lecture series, and I was trying to break down the concepts of citizenship, trying to trace the root of the Nigerian problem. And I said, give me a fifth of the Nigerian youth currently engaged in watching Big Brother Nigeria, and I'll change Nigeria. So I sat down and I coupled this thing together, and I was doing it, and I got so frustrated with myself that these people just aren't engaging. So at the back of my mind, I just said, okay, so this job is going to be much more difficult than I had imagined. And then these kids were done watching Big Brother Nigeria or more. Small, these children began this their NSAS thing. Like play. Even I had no choice. I went online, I was asking, the lazy youth, are you planning on doing revolution or what do you think you are doing? Because by now, it was entering a week. These people were moving beyond NSAS. They were asking for end of government, end this, end that. I can't sit down and come begin to ask myself, if these children are now busy demanding the end of this, end of that, they have moved beyond the end of a rogue police unit. They are now dealing with end impunity, end bad governance. That means they are awake. But which one of us, the older ones, have offered them alternative visions behind which to coalesce? The same youth who are disengaged from the political process because of its fraudulence. Go and see the numbers in which they vote when it's Big Brother Nigeria. They are engaged because there is something to connect to. We don't have any right to judge them until we have called them to a cause and they fail to rally to that cause. They've proven themselves to be much braver than my generation. We had hopes to constrain us in my generation. We didn't want to die. Our parents had hope for us. But this generation, there is nothing to hope for. They can see it. So they are not afraid. My generation was fearful because we didn't want to die. Our parents had hope for us. We not want die. We not want quench. Mama did for us. You know the song now. We not want die. But these ones, I saw one of them standing in front of a soldier. Soldier cocked gun. The boy see the jump. Shoot. None of us, they're not born me well in my generation. How can I say shoot? Do you know how much Yawale invested in my education? I'll say shoot. She invested all of her hopes, all of her dreams and everything. My generation was constrained by hope. This generation is hopeless. It's completely hopeless. That's the truth. So how do you really constrain a person to whom you've denied all hope? How do you threaten a suicide bomber? These people don't even know what they are doing. Look at all those ones in the north dying because of Boko Haram, joining Boko Haram willingly, the ones who joined willingly, the extremists in all form. What you are saying there is another revolution in the making. It's a form of revolution. They are repudiating the old order, but they have nowhere else to turn, so they turn to religion. You see the same religious idiocy here in the south. People go to service on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. But they ain't going to work. They are not learning any trade. But they are in church every day of the week. They are praying for miracles. It's the same thing that happened. The difference is that the person has been religiously indoctrinated to a purpose in the north. Nobody is indoctrinating them to any purpose beyond the pecuniary in the south. So the same religious indoctrination
Occupation
to docility is happening everywhere you turn. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new. So the youth are ready. We're the ones who need to tell them what we expect of them. Paint them a vision of the future you want to lead them into. Leaders lead with vision, not before mouth.
Well, because I know you have to go, I stole part of your time this morning. But let me just add one more question, so that we can have the ultimate of this time with you. One of the bane of unity, progress, development in Nigeria has been identified as insecurity, and somehow it's began to look like the state. Sometimes they'll tell us they're on top of it. They are taking drastic steps, asking everybody to register for NIN, shutting down the telco services and the rest of them. Impress upon us that they are serious about tackling insecurity. At other times, we see the state reincorporating those arrested as bandits, saying that they have repented and in fact, in most cases, even giving them amnesty, offering them all kind of, even putting them in government in most cases, right? Because it has been widely alleged that most of the people who sponsor these bandits are so-called terrorists. even within the government, some of them ministers, even senators. This approach, how would you explain it, or how would you describe this approach of fighting insecurity?
You know, there is something that we all do as Nigerians that we need to stop and do so quickly. We make excuses for our rulers. They are in open, plain sight, telling you what they are doing. You can actually see it, but we make excuses because we can't believe that they can be that evil.
Hmm.
Well, that's idiocy. We should actually learn to take them at their word. Learn to take them at their word. What we're referring to as insecurity would appear to be by intentional design, not by accident. And I would explain myself. Who is the Nigerian terrorist? The Nigerian terrorist would appear to be the person demanding his rights as a Nigerian, who presumes to believe that he is a citizen and is demanding citizenship rights. I'll show you. Who were the terrorists that General Buhari spoke about in his address? Sunday Igboho, Nnamdi Kanu. I don't remember him talking about the terrorists that are busy killing
Bandits.
farmers. They are not bandits. They are
That's the
terrorists.
way you would like to describe them, yeah.
No. That is actually the political cover that he has provided for them all through his time, both in and out of power. They are not bandits. They are terrorists. And they are terrorists who terrorizes the entirety of Nigeria, including the Fulanis themselves. The people of Kankara are not Yorubas. They are not of the Jesha stock. They are Fulani. That these particular ones happen to be, what shall I say, Fulani, does not render them any different from any other bandits. They are bandits. But because of the need to offer them the impunity of the Nigerian state as a cover for their heinous crimes, they are referred to as bandits so that they can be deodorized and they can be telling us that they had been pardoned because they repented. Nigeria is the only place where you have repentant terrorists absorbed into the security architecture. What is happening is simple. People in the upper echelon of the Nigerian government, high up in the Nigerian government, are complicit in what is happening in Nigeria because they have permitted it to happen. Permitted it to happen. Why can't somebody ask Elisha Ore to carry a placard and be going home? He has repented. But what is he supposed to repent of? He can't repent that he was demanding his right as a citizen. Nnamdi Kanu cannot repent that he's asking for the right to self-determination for his people who have been badly marginalized within Nigeria. Sunday Igboho cannot be asked to repent for asking that his people be protected from the Fulani terrorists that were busy killing them. You see, this linguistic terrorism where the government would demand that we should deodorize a lie by calling it what is not, we must not allow ourselves to become complicit in it. Facts are sacred. They are Fulani terrorists. They are not bandits. That's how everything in that. If look, think, when did banditry become part of our lexicon? It came in simply because this incompetent government has to hide its nepotistic intentions and then be pretending that terrorists are bandits. What's the meaning of bandits? Why don't we start calling armed robbers bandits as well, Adi? Maybe armed robbers are also bandits. Everybody carrying a gun is now a bandit so that they can be pardoned and we can deodorize their crimes. Maybe anybody in the southeast, maybe we should stop saying it's IPOB or gun-known men. We'll just be calling everybody bandits once and for all. Miyeti Allah is not proscribed, but you proscribed IPOB. It doesn't make sense. They are busy chasing Sunday go up and down the place. Dan Keremi is still ruling in the northwest. These people are not serious people. Boko Haram is busy dropping their arms and they are busy advertising that as some sort of victory. They are not telling the people the truth. Boko Haram is running away from fighting ISWAP. It doesn't want to become part of ISWAP. So it's dropping arms, you're absorbing them and claiming that they have repented. Who is fighting the ISWAP insurgency that is coming up in the Northeast? Who is fighting it? They're just fooling themselves and lying to everybody. So the first and primary duty of any state is the protection of the lives and properties of citizens. But it is not by accident that Nigeria does not protect the life of those who live there because we are not citizens. One politician might have 20 policemen following him up and down the place. He's a police station on his own. They are complicit in all the crimes that he commits. But the poor man is left to fend for himself. Amotekun is going around with ding guns. They can't even carry proper guns. And the Fulani headsman or terrorist is busy carrying his AK-49 or AK-47. Come on.
Okay,
Anyone
thank you so
looking
much
to
for
Buhari for salvation is wasting his time. Please.
Yes, and 2023 is set to be, as we wrap up now, 2023 is set to be the another opportunity for Nigerians to actually determine or take their destiny in their hands. I mean, what hope do you have in 2023 election? Should youths contest? Do you see any changes happening through the ballot?
2023 is fool's gold. Fool's gold. That is what 2023 is. Fool's gold. You remember?
Oh, network. I don't know what happened. Maybe his phone. It's possible somebody's trying to reach one. Okay.
Okay. No, it wasn't even from my hand. Anyway, see, what I'm saying is that when we were younger, if you went to the market areas of most Nigerian cities and towns, you'll find all these people in Ibadan. We used to call them Onidon. They would have all kind of Ije. That is, oh yeah, look at it. The more you look, the less you see. Abracadabra. So you are meant to pick a card and you win. They make it look so simple, right? And then before you know what's happening, you've lost your money. I think in Lagos, it used to be led by band of Gelede. Those are the dancing masquerades. And then what you find is this. See that 2023 nonsense. What does it matter who becomes the president of Nigeria based on his current structure? Nothing will change. It doesn't matter if the person is the current chairman of our NSNDB, or if it's Chivayo Adebanjo himself, the leaders of the Yoruba Afenifere. It doesn't matter who emerges the president of Nigeria, as long as the structure remains as it is. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to deodorize their lie or legitimize that stupid process of emergence of another sultan and emirs. I would be fully aligned with any move looking to boycott that election and be demanding clearly that Nigeria be properly restructured along federalist lines before we move on to any transition. The 1999 fraud, Decree 24, has brought us as far as it is capable of bringing us. We must not allow ourselves to be used to legitimize that fraud. Me, I'm clear about where I am in my head, and where I am in my head does not deodorize that fraud. 2023, when you find a group calling for the boycott of that election, demanding a restructure of Nigeria along federalist line, you see me very closely aligned. No, I'll be right there. I will not need to be called. That's where you'll find me standing. I'm not deodorizing that fraud.
Thank you so very much for your time this morning. I so much appreciate that you even had to cut time out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much, and
A
we'll keep this
pleasure.
conversation going on towards as the future also approaches. I want to appreciate everybody who joined on the live show. All the people who are saying, "Oh, thank you, well done," calling you gentleman. Some say, "No, it's not gentle; it's gently radical." And there's so many comments if you see them there. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for making this a good time, and we hope that we have learned a lot of things from this conversation so far. We end the broadcast here, and we say all the best, everybody, today. Have
Shalom.
the best.